Toledo Organic Tequila is so crisp, so incredibly smooth, it's simply in a category by itself. This is luxury. Life tastes better naturally, so should your tequila. This is Toledo. Enjoy responsibly. Welcome to another episode of the DJ the Money Coach Financial Expert Series, brought to you by the 7 Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us. And before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the 7 Spheres of Money on YouTube. And let's go ahead and get into it. So we have another longtime friend of DJ joining us today. This is someone that, if you've been watching our programs, he's talked a lot about, on webinars or on this channel. He's talked a lot about this young woman here. And honestly, I'm a little intimidated by the way he talks about her. The first time he called her the pit bull, I'm like, oh, she must be serious business here. And I think I've seen her on a webinar maybe a few years ago, if I remember correctly, along with DJ. But yeah, this woman is serious business. Before we even went live and started recording, she told me she had a PowerPoint presentation prepared. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, she's really serious here, along with all the accolades that that DJ has mentioned. But I'll turn it over to DJ. He can give you introduction of himself and then introduce this good friend of his and business partner with the 7 Spheres of Money. All right, so take it away, DJ.
That's right. Hey, today is a great day. This is the best day, and this has been a long time overcoming. This is the magic behind the land of Oz. This is the magic behind the land of Oz. And you're going to understand what I mean by that. But real quickly, you don't know my story is just like yours. Went to school, got that piece of paper that, certified me as a potential professional. And then I went out to get my first, mortgage, and I found out that I got rejected for a mortgage. Now, mind you, I went to school to become a CPA. I did not become a CPA, but I got a minor in accounting to learn about business financing, but not personal finance. So upon getting rejected, I found out that I had $40,000 worth of consumable debt. I had a 525 credit score. And you know what? I was disappointed, but I just kept, trugging along. And a few years later, I started a business, and my business started making some money. And I went to go get a business loan from the same bank. And lo and behold, they told me the exact same thing, rejected. So at that point, 9 out of 10 of you would have quit, because that's the way of life, okay? But I don't quit. I believe in being victorious. So what I did was I opened up a book called The Road to Wealth. I read a chapter about personal finances, particularly credit. Upon reading that credit chapter, within 12 months, my credit score rose to 720. 24 months after that, my credit score rose to 800. And my credit score has not been under 800 since. And one thing I always tell people, I never take advice from somebody who's not where I want to be in life. So that's my credit score right now. That's not what I'm excited about. What I'm excited about, I didn't file bankruptcy. I signed the credit cards. I got the free hats and stuff, and I took responsibility for that debt that I had. So 6 years from that day, 2002, I actually paid off all of my debt. Not 100, but 60,000 plus the 40,000 consumable. And 6 years from that day, I actually, in 2008, I became what I call financially independent. I had a 6-figure income and I had a 7-figure net worth that I built through a variety of different businesses. And along that way, I went into my church and taught financial education. I went to the YMCA, taught financial education. I taught financial education to the Attorney General's office in the state of Illinois, for the young Attorney Generals that were coming into the industry for the first time, help them get their stuff right. I taught it at the Federal Reserve. I taught it at the state of Michigan. And I traveled across the country teaching a small little course called Got Assets, 3 Steps to Success about business, wealth, and taxes. And fast forward today, 20 years later, I've actually sat down with over 20,000 people across the country, helped several people become consumer debt free, thousands literally, and several become financially independent. And I could not have done it without this person here behind the scenes, keeping me out of trouble, keeping these sharks from taking my intellectual property, from schooling me to the game of real business, because nobody had ever taught me that. So I was involved in a business transaction in 2006 with an entertainer. And this entertainer was a big baller, which he thought he was. This is him, you know, this is that guy, you know, and right there, that's my little logo at the time. That's when we were little fries. And this guy's management group decided they were going to rip us off. They were going to take a couple of $100,000 from us after we spent something like 80 to 100 grand to sponsor an event, to put it on at this all-star event. And so we were in trouble. But prior to that, this person came into my life about 2 years before and helped me negotiate a contract in the financial service business and got me in proper mindset to be incorporated, to act like a business entity. So this person is amazing. And let me tell you why. Because she has, you know, a degree from Wheaton College, graduated top of her class. She also has a JD from University of Illinois, one of the hardest schools to get into across the country. And then on top of that, she went out to, you know, the East Coast of New York, and she got on the fast track and became a partner, you know, in one of the largest law firms in the world, you know, and she was just blazing everything, blowing up. So mind you, God blessed us that I could not even afford her services. And this is how God works when you're on the right pathway. So there was this organization called Women in Technology. And at the time, my beloved was a member of the Women in Technology, and she just posted up on the billboard. This is when they had billboards. So I'm dating myself, but I still look good. So, you know, so she posted up on there, hey, we need help. We're getting hosed, and we need somebody to just look at a contract for us. And this person unselfishly looked at the information, reached out and said, hey, here's my background. She put her bio up, her picture, and I'm just reading it like, there's no way in heck we can afford this person. So I'm not even gonna call her. And then the other part of me said that entrepreneur is like, well, let's call and see if we can be, you know, available, that she might feel pity for us. And lo and behold, she looked at our situation and she said, hey, here's blah, 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 what you need help with. And here's what I can help you with. And this is where I am. And so we talked. And next thing I know, she was like, you know, I'll help you out. And she never said anything about, I'm going to charge you, anything like that. And I kept waiting for the hook to say, it's going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And she literally came in, guys and girls, and she actually helped me without even charging me but 1/10 of what she could normally charge me. And in the process of the past 16 years, she's not only covered my back in everything from litigation, non-disclosures, non-competes, trademarks, anything legal, she's had my back. And prior to that, I couldn't stand attorneys because to me, they were just, oh man, I hate to say this and she's gonna get mad at me. They were parasites. And what I mean by they would take a retainer, regardless if you won or lost, they still got paid a high income, regardless if you won or lost. And my mindset as an entrepreneur, ladies and guys, was that you should get paid when I win, period. If I don't win, you shouldn't get paid. And this person actually is the epitome and the personification of that. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys in this elongated introduction, one of my best friends on the planet, Miss Lisa K. Shebar, extraordinaire Esquire. Lisa, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you, Dale. It's a very undeserved introduction, but I'll take it. Thank you.
So I know I say a lot, but Muhammad Ali said, Lisa, if it's facts, it ain't bragging. And I've actually not told all the great things that you've done for us. So we're gonna unwrap this stuff in this interview, and we probably ain't got enough time to do it. So I want you first to give us a little backdrop of your professional, you know, accolades in terms of your destinations and where you started and how you got engaged and how we got connected. If you can share that with us real quick.
Sure. I'll try to make this quick while everyone goes and takes their bathroom break. After I graduated from law school, I started with a small firm in Texas, in Dallas, and was just doing litigation. Being a young lawyer, didn't really know what I was doing, trying to make my way around the courts. And I wanted to get back to Chicago, where I was from. So by my second year of being a lawyer, I ended up back in Chicago with this big firm. And they turned me into a trademark lawyer. And everything has kind of flowed from there. I've helped you. I've helped people you put me in touch with, helped other clients unrelated to you, all roll out whatever their trademark needs are, whether they're trying to start a business or whether they're in trouble with the trademark. And sometimes just ancillary things that result from their business that have nothing to do with trademarks, because inevitably there are lots of other things that go into the legal needs of a business, not just the trademark side. But I keep coming back to my roots being a trademark lawyer. So that's the stuff I can do in my sleep. That's the stuff that I really enjoy the most. But I also just enjoy, no matter what the type of laws that I'm doing, I enjoy just helping people. So sometimes I forget to bill, but I really just enjoy practicing law because of the way that I'm able to, I think, make a difference in people's lives. So I have been at law firms. I've been in-house at companies from Sears to McDonald's to smaller companies. I've been both, the business person and the outside lawyer advising the business people. I've helped individuals, I've helped corporations, I've handled international matters, I've handled local matters. Throughout my career, I've kind of just done it all at this point. I couldn't have said that years ago, but I've been doing this since 1993. So I've gotten to try my hand at a lot of different things, whether I wanted to or not. It was dictated by the needs of the client, and that's kind of how I define what I do.
Wow, man, that is amazing. So actually, wow, that's almost 28. That's 28 years.
Yeah.
Profession, and you don't look a day over 35.
Thank you.
So tell us why you have an affinity for the small business entrepreneur like myself. Give them a little bit of backstory about what made you actually become that bulldog that I tell people you are in the highest regard I hold you in. Why did that passion get instilled in you? Because you have a story that makes people come to understand why you would even waste your time with a little old me back in the day when I couldn't even scratch the surface of 40 years service.
Well, I think it probably, whether I realize it or not, stems from my birth. My dad immigrated from Taiwan, and he came to this country, went to college, met my mom, had a family. In the Asian culture, your word is your honor. People don't need contracts. And he was a businessman, he was a politician. He had a lot of successes and an equal amount of failures. And as I got older and I watched him on the sidelines, just doing what he was doing from afar, I thought, I can see that he isn't protecting himself. So at one point he ended up filing bankruptcy. So, it's like the rags to riches and vice versa. And I just thought, when I become of working age, I'm going to do something that I'm going to make a difference to help people, so that the good, hardworking people like my dad, who would give the shirt off their back and are being ethical and honest and creating things from nothing, that they don't get taken advantage of. And so I sometimes just say, don't worry about paying me. I just really want to help you. So it's not a great business model, but I've never held myself out as a business person. I'm a lawyer, and I become a friend to whoever I'm working for, and I really care about what the outcome is for them. And I think that probably stems back from thinking about my dad.
Wow. Yeah, because that's the key part. And I think you provide the honor to the profession of why it was originally created. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they have given it a bad name because they're all about chasing the dollar for their own personal gain, because it's like a power mallet in their hand that they can actually just will wealth out of, taking stuff from people who don't know better. And what I mean by that, and I'm not trying to bash attorneys, but my experience is when you don't have money as somebody who's not, I don't want to say affluent, and you have a case that is a great winnable case, they immediately, say, oh yeah, I'll do it for free and I'll take a third and a third. And you don't really understand what that means. And these people make massive wealth. And hey, I don't blame you for doing that. But at some point in time, you got to have somebody that has some heart and some compassion for the fellow, man or woman that's in that situation and shoot them straight. And I had, prior to meeting you, I probably had experience about 4 or 5 attorneys, and none of them were positive. 0 were positive. But then when I met you and you came in and you showed me straight up what my blind spots were, and even though I was very skeptical, and then I said, hey, I'm in a sticky situation, and you helped, and you're like, hey, just pay me whatever you can afford to pay me. That's really what you said at the end of the day. Okay. Pay you what I can afford to pay you. And I'm dealing with these big players at the time, getting in the financial service business. That just dawned on me like, wow, I got to make sure I can afford your services and pay you at the highest level.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm DJ the Money Coach. Don't touch that dial. You want to become financially independent? You want to have consumer debt freedom? You want to have passive income, learn how to build a business, acquire real estate, and achieve the lifestyle you deserve in 2021? Well, hit that link below right now. We've worked with over 20,000 people in the past 2 decades, helping them become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 30 to 60 points in 30 days or less, and help them acquire businesses through real estate, taxes, and a network of experts just like me. So you'll get a complete 3-hour, 18-module course called Family Finance 101 that'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and it put you in position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below, get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a pom-pom lifestyle that's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us.
Talk to us a little bit about, some of the major projects that you worked on. And we're going to talk about the things that you do on an expert basis and some of the bigger deals you work with me. But I want to give people some scope, because even though you said McDonald's, sometimes these new people don't realize you got to be a major player to even rep McDonald's Corporation, multi-billion-dollar company. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you rep this little small music company back in the day on a master's case as well. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because sometimes, unfortunately, people need to see a little bit of what we call the bling in our community. And I hate to say it, but it's real.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll talk about my McDonald's experience then. Doesn't necessarily relate to the common man, but it gives you an idea of the type of projects that are out there that are what I handle. But it's nice to get away from those big things and just go back to reality with, what your neighbor's doing. But for about 2.5 to 3 years, I was filling in for a lawyer at McDonald's who went on maternity leave, and then I stayed on longer after that, just continuing to help with the business. McDonald's, as you can imagine, has all kinds of slogans, trademarks, characters like, Hamburglar or Ronald McDonald, the doll, that they license. And amazingly, people all over the world want to buy things with McDonald's logos, slogans, memorabilia on it. So thank goodness they do, because it provides work. But I was basically just the one-person legal team on that. I worked with the different business people around the world. I had the director of the marketing side who was my business partner through all this at McDonald's. And there would be, for example, a product that McDonald's wanted to develop, just for sake of ease, we'll say they wanted to put the Ronald McDonald character on a sweatshirt, and they wanted to sell it worldwide. So they would need to find distributorships in every country. They would need to find vendors. They would need to enter into trademark license agreements with those vendors so that the character Ronald McDonald and the McDonald's label inside the tag was being used under the quality control of McDonald's. And all those contracts had to be entered into, and the deals had to be negotiated. So there were lots of back then we didn't have these video conferences, just lots of conference calls with as many extensions as they could bring onto them, as we had big committee meetings doing these deals. And so it was neat to see that come to fruition when I'd be, maybe out with my kids somewhere, and I'd be like, oh, do you know that mom had something to do with that sweatshirt? And they'd be like, that's nice. So, I was more interested in my work than my kids, but so that's just an example of like what the type of work that I have been doing would manifest itself in the marketplace as. But then more to like the everyday person, my next door neighbor, you, maybe people watching this webinar. In fact, I had a call today, and you might think, oh, I'm just making this up because, makes a good story. No, she actually called me today right before I recorded this. And it's one of my best friends who I haven't talked to in a while because our lives have gone in different directions. She called me and she said, hey, I'm about to start this new business. And I won't share her confidence of what this business is, but it's going to be right here where we live. And she's got a business partner. She needs to have the lease reviewed for the storefront. She needs to have the food that she'll be selling regulated by the appropriate authority. And she needs to enter into contracts and start hiring people. And lo and behold, she's got a name picked out. I said, well, I'm a trademark lawyer, so I can help you with that. So it is neat how sometimes the stuff that I do for these corporations can come right home to roost, and I can do them for people that I love and care about.
So let me ask you this question, Lisa. So at the height of your corporate attorney status, what were they billing you out ballpark when they sent you out to clients? Just to give these people an idea of somebody of your stature would be serviced out on the corporate side. Give it. What kind of retainer, what kind of billable hour are we talking?
Well, I never knew what the retainers were because that would be something that the business development department would work with the client on. And so the work would come to me. I just know what my billing rate was that they chose for me. And at the height of my billing rate, it was a while ago because since then I've gone on and done other things. But when I was a partner sitting in Manhattan, in a high-rise office, my rate then was $750, and that was in 2001 and 2.
All right, hold up. So it was $750 an hour in 2001. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I'm a financial expert. Money doubles every 10 years. So that means in 2011, that was $1,500 an hour. That means in 2021, that's $3,000 an hour. So I just want y'all to let that marinate for a moment. Manhattan office, $750 relative to $3,000. That's why we talk about, this is the financial expert series with DJ the Money Coach. So you can't get this on this internet platform from somebody who just ran out at 25, 21 years of age. Oh, I made $1 million and I know how to put LLCs and all the legal stuff together. That's ignorance on fire. I'm not hating the game. I'm not hating the person. But here's the reality. Very rarely you're going to come across somebody of this qualification as Lisa K. Shebar. So I want you to think about that. So in that position there, Lisa, you also rep a little music company back in the day. Talk to us about that. Tell us what that little music company was and what that was about, because it was significant.
Well, if you and I are thinking about the same thing, it was a Chicago-based music company. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I think that was one. Something about their masters. I think
with
about the masters that were stolen or something.
Yeah, in fact, believe it or not, that has reared its head again, and it's hot and heavy underway right now.
Wow.
But, back, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, I met a client. I don't even remember how I met him, but he owned a music production company. He had a record label. He had signed quite a few artists, many of which would be household names. And he was young, and he was young and dumb. And he had basically given away the music that he was creating by not entering into the right type of agreements. And other record labels were coming in and signing those artists as they moved up in the world, and they would take the music rights with them. So he's got masters out there that belong to him that he's trying to get back. And yeah, that's something where if I had met him earlier on, I could have helped him with that. But we're doing what we can now. Yeah, that's moving out of the trademark world, but it's all in the world of intellectual property. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. If it's any kind of adversarial litigation, business dispute, that's where I come in and say, let me handle this for you.
Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to peel back the onion and tell you my story with how Lisa has saved my butt and also prevented us from getting it. And actually, where I've been friends on stuff, and Lisa was able to step in and say, look, knucklehead, why didn't you run that by?
Well, I've never actually said knucklehead.
But you meant knucklehead, so I don't have a problem with it. So when we put the first deal, and she had helped me out with that, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna do whatever I can to keep Lisa on my team. So the next big venue that came up was actually, you know, the one that I first showed you guys. So we went into an agreement with this guy's management company. Lisa drafted the legal contract, and this is things to kill me. And I didn't appreciate it back then, but I appreciate it big time now. Lisa don't miss a dot. She don't miss a T. If I think it should be done in 30 minutes, she'll take 3 hours. And thank goodness she takes the 3 hours, because it will save you thousands of dollars and a lot of restless nights. So we put this document together, and she put all the stuff together. I'm like, Lisa, hey, let's just get it out the door, because that's what entrepreneurs are. So I'm speaking your language, number one. And number two, most of you people are penny wise and dollar foolish. And here's what I say, because I was a lot, because you're so in a rush to make money and to get out there, you don't take the time to invest with the professional, because number one, you're not really serious about growing a real business. You're about making a quick dollar, and you're not really thinking about the legacy, the enterprise, the succession planning, any of that, because guess what? You might mess around and make $3, $4, $5 million, and now somebody's going to be coming after you because they know you got money. Okay, so Lisa put this contract together. We invested. We pulled a team together, and I had never done any entertainment things ever in my life, other than going to the party and enjoying it. But as far as me putting my money behind it, and I was just building my financial planning practice. So my practice needed exposure. So that was the main reason why I was trying to link up with this person, is that if they saw my practice, it would elevate the perception of what we were good at, and I could charge more money. That was the deal. So we put this deal together. Lisa put the contract, and the first thing she put together for us was this 4-page document that I love. It's called the NDA non-circumvent document that she personally created for me. And at the time, it was expensive as all get out, but it has saved us tons of money. So right there, Lisa, tell these wannabe entrepreneurs and business people why that document supersedes all contracts and literally has saved me at least $500,000 for you putting that together.
Sure. Well, you and I throw around the term NDA like everybody knows what that is, but I don't know. Does everybody know what NDA is? It's a non-disclosure agreement. And it's also loosely used to refer to a non-compete agreement as well, but nobody says NCA. So a non-disclosure agreement, also non-compete agreement, is an incredibly important first step before you do anything in your business. If you have an idea, you have to protect your idea. And everyone thinks, oh, okay, trademark, patent, copyright, whatever. But there's a first step that comes before you get to points of rolling out the product or registering something. It's protecting the concept. And the way to protect that concept is, even if you don't go to a lawyer to do it, draft something that prevents the other side from disclosing your idea to anybody. Forever, till the end of time, they are bound to confidentiality based on whatever you have shared with them. And you want to go a step further with that, with the concept of you don't want them stealing your business connections. If you make connections to vendors, friends, associates, using your network in the industry, whatever that relationship is that you share with them, that's an asset. Do not give that away. And how do you protect that? Through a document. So you can pull one off the internet. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it's better than nothing. Do something.
I'm laughing because you created a customized document for me when you got to know me. And ours became like this conglomerate of everything that I needed that protected me on all sides. Non-compete, non-disclosure, and gag order. And it was like 6 pages. And I remember when we were downtown in the financial district and I'm doing my first investment meeting and I'm like, Lisa, these people ain't gonna sign a 6-page document.
So I would just shrink the font down to make it fewer pages.
So we got to the point, Nick, where, because I was doing some big deals, man. So I was bringing people in at the beginning of the year and I was trying to raise, you know, 100, 200, half a million dollars. In order to do that, I was going to give them what Lisa calls my secret sauce, my intellectual property. And these people had the wherewithal. If they didn't like what I said, but they liked what I showed them, they could walk out the door, take their money and go find somebody to implement my idea. So once you put that in motion, it literally saved us 3 times. The first time, it was with this little itty bitty company. I don't know if you guys can see this. It says Easy Pay 24. You remember this, Lisa?
Oh yeah.
Easy Pay 24. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. So here's the deal. I got in this business. And then by this time, it's probably about the 4th contract that Lisa and I were working on and with her other partner in the Shebar firm. So this was a $1 billion idea. Now, this actually precedes Google Pay, Apple Pay, all of those. And Lisa would tell you, I was trying to be a billionaire, straight up, real talk. I was stressed. I shut down all my other businesses and I was 100% focused on this enterprise. And the reason why, because I figured out that there was a blind spot in the money transfer business that millions of people needed help with. And I had a solution. And so when I put that solution together, I didn't just go to mom and pops. I went to the biggest entity on the planet to share my idea with. So we went out, and this was right around 4th of July. I remember like it was yesterday. So had found this financier. So I got a contract with Love's Trucking. We were working on overnight right before the 4th of July. And I got a contract with this company here called HEB. But I needed a financier. I needed $2 million. And here's the great thing about that contract that Lisa just talked about, the NDA. Every person that I went to go share my idea with before I would even talk to them, because Lisa told me, make them sign this document. So there's one guy, his name is Jason King. And I'll say his name because I don't forget his face and I don't forget the snake he was. So this guy, Nick, big money. His dad was a multimillionaire 10 times over. I met him in a little small business center where somebody introduced me to him. And I said, hey man, he was like, man, I got to see your machine and I want to find out who's your bank. So I was like, I'm not showing you my bank. So I showed him the machine and I said, soon as you come inside this office, you got to sign this document. So he looked at me, all, flippant and everything, and he signed his name on the document. At that point, I knew I could show him everything, my underwear, my social security number, and everything. That's how much I believed in what she did for me. So sure enough, this guy signs the document. He creates a company, my partner. He said, man, this is big, man. We could put this all throughout Mexico, everything. I could put this in probably about 3,000 stores. I'm excited. So then he comes back in our 3rd meeting. He said, hey, man, I need to meet the bank now. He gave me like $15,000 as a small down payment just to show that he had currency. And that was equivalent to buying 3 of those machines. Those machines were $5,000 a piece. So I took the money and he just kept insisting, man, I gotta know who your connect is. So in a drug movie, like when you see Scarface and all that, it's like, who's the connect to Colombia? This is the way the dude was coming, straight up. And I'm like, all right, man. I was like, man, I'm not going to say, hey, man, I'm going to give you $500,000. Then I'm going to give you 1.5 after that. I just want to know if it's real. So I talked to my partner who showed me the apparatus to actually get the software, which I paid to get created, which at the time was $50,000. So I said, all right, man, you pressing me. No big deal. He's got the receipts. He's got the money. So I go take this clown up to Dallas and introduce him to my bank, the people who actually did the exchange, the secret sauce. 3 weeks later, this clown and the knucklehead, who I thought was my partner, tried to go around me with the bank, and they created a document that said that I signed off for them to take ownership of my business. Real talk. Real talk. And in big business, this happens all the time. Unbeknownst to me, I thought I was pretty street smart, but thank goodness. Let me show you. Let me share my screen with you. I had this one document that Lisa.shebar created for me. And I live by this document religiously. Right there, baby. Right there. That non-disclosure, non-competition, non-circumvent agreement. And Lisa just told me, she said, oh, just take him to, you know, what is it called legally, Lisa, what he did? Intertious something, what is it called?
Tortious interference with contract and tortious interference with prospective business relationships.
We take him to that chapter in the contract, and he's still thinking, oh, we're gonna run over you, dude, because you're a nobody. So Lisa and them got on his butt. And in the meantime, in a startup business, here's what a lot of people don't know. When you're trying to raise millions of dollars, first thing these venture capitalists ask you, do you have any legal barriers to getting this deal done? Do you owe anybody money? Anybody gonna come out the woodwork? And you have to fully disclose to these people. So we were able to stop this dude in the tracks. And then Lisa and them just picked up the phone, called his attorney, pointed out that chapter in the contract, and said, guess what, Mr. King, we got your ass, pardon my French. And at that point, we were able to push this dude out. He had to pay a settlement, and I was still able to go forward with my $1 million business opportunity. And that would have only happened if it only happened because I listened to it, first and foremost. But the reason why I'm telling the long story version of this is that 9 out of 10 times, most people like you that look like me, they got this idea, they just run out and do stuff, and then they come back and think that it's gonna work out. So only reason why I was prepared that time, because I had already violated that rule the first time I met Lisa. And Lisa, why is that important? Because that caused a lot of stress in my life. It robbed my dream for a while, and it made me upset with business people that I literally got out of that business after I got my money from the people because I didn't want to be part of that. But why is that important for them to take this cautionary tale and not have that fair tale?
I guess just because if you don't take the right first step, you're not going to end up at the end of the road where you're trying to go. If you fall off that road, you're going to get caught up in legal issues. You're going to lose your proprietary claim to whatever the asset is, whether it's intellectual property or a tangible item, maybe a product that you developed. That first step kind of sets the path and the tone for the rest of the journey, as well as it signals to the people that you're dealing with that you're savvy, you're not going to be taken advantage of. And it's a very simple first step. It's a good signal.
Yeah, and it was an investment. And a lot of times, Lisa, people always use the word cost when I tell them what our memberships are and what the value of them is. And they always looking for free. And I'm like, you know, free don't ride on this street if you're trying to do real business. Robert Kiyosaki gave an example in his first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he created the first Velcro wallet business, and he didn't trademark, he didn't non-compete, and a year later, after he made a couple $1 million, somebody at an expo knocked off his business. I remembered that, and then I remembered the story you told me about your dad's triumphs and his setbacks. And I said, wow, I ain't never put myself in that position. But mind you, I always fight you along the way. So I don't always agree, but I'm fighting you, but I'm always have the wisdom to say, Lisa knows right, and let's roll with it.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm a program manager. In December of 2020, I was listening to the Dr. Willie Jolly show. His topic was debt management, and his guest was DJ. During the interview, they talked about how DJ and his team has helped families generate wealth. I knew I wanted to know more about it, and I wanted my family members to be aware of it. I immediately set up a consultation with DJ. Since that time, the DJTMC team, has created a financial plan for me, created a policy wherein I can create wealth for my great-granddaughter, who's 7 years old now. And because I didn't have these documents in place, I'm getting assistance with my will, power of attorney, and all of the documents that you would need to ensure that your policy, that your estate will be executed as you desire it to be done. I strongly recommend the DJTMC team. I found them to be extremely courteous and helpful and knowledgeable, and I can talk to them about any of my monetary needs or concerns. Check out the DJTMC team.
So now I'm actually on the opposite side. I infringed on somebody's trademark. This one right here, not assets. You remember that, Lisa? So again, Nick, here's what entrepreneurs do. We get an idea, we run out, try to make money fast. And I got out and I started this little tour. And since I had the non-compete and the non-circumvent, thing, I had that take care. I said, no, I'm not gonna call Lisa right now. I'm just gonna run out and do this. So I run out, we get on tour, and then I tell Lisa, oh yeah, we have some stuff. And Lisa's like, what's the God assets thing? You want to talk? You want to talk about that?
No, you tell the story.
So Nick, I'm out there. I got the shirts made. I got the caps made, and I'm like, man, this thing is jumping off. We're doing great. And I said, hey, Lisa, you know what? I think I want to trademark this God asset. And Lisa's like, I think you might have already infringed on, that little thing called God milk. And I'm like, yeah, what that got to do with God assets? So Lisa, can you tell them why that's important? Even though I didn't have God milk, but I had got something. Why was that important that I, as a knucklehead, had already infringed on that mark?
Sure, I'll give you guys a little trademark lesson, I guess. There are at least two ways you can get yourself in trouble with the trademark. One is by using a confusingly similar mark. That's not a term I'm just making up. That's a legal term of art. It's what courts use as their standard. If it's something that is confusingly similar to a trademark owner, and who knows what that means, but judges say they know it when they see it or when they hear it, depends if the mark is something that sounds similar, then you are committing trademark infringement. The other thing, which I would say this is equally, if not more, in the case of the God assets, it's called dilution. Dilution is a mark that's famous. So let's just pick Got Milk, a famous mark. And again, courts say they know it when they see it. There's no litmus test. There's no bright line, gray, black and white. There's nothing that can say this is a famous mark and this is not because we ran it through a computer. No, you can't do that. Courts know it when they see it. Sometimes it's based on survey evidence where the plaintiff will go out and do a survey and come back and say, see, judge, look at all these people that know our mark. So I would say that Got Milk possibly is a famous mark as well, which means you can't do anything with that. You cannot do that with Nike, with Mercedes, with Coca-Cola. You just can't do anything with famous marks. You have to stay very clear of them. And so Got Milk, I think, has had its heights in society and probably could be deemed a famous mark. So anything you do like that, you're infringing. Actually, you're diluting technically. Now, people are going to hear this and say, but people do this all the time. I mean, I could Google right now, got this, got that. That's right. And the owner of the trademark Got Milk, which I imagine is the dairy industry, some kind of dairy farmers association or something, they can pick and choose who they want to go after. And so if they see you as somebody worth going after for whatever reason, then you better watch your back. So it's not a defense to say, but they're doing it.
And here's the great thing. What we found out was, fortunately for us, we weren't delusional or whatever that real high level word is. Again, I don't have
like watering down
delusion,
your
delusion. So here's what happened. Long story short, they did discovery. They found out that there was somebody in a different industry, but not the farm industry, that it was infringing on. And then you can do what's called what? Share licensing, correct?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Now, it's helpful. It can be helpful. I just said, you can't say, well, they're doing it. That's not a defense. However, there is another concept, and sometime we'll, have a multi-hour trademark class here, but just another legal concept in the trademark world is coexisting. You and a trademark owner, the rightful owner, can enter into an agreement. It's more than a license. It's where you actually divide up the pot. And you take this, they take that. Sometimes there's a fee involved, sometimes there's not. It just all comes down to negotiating skills and leverage and bluffing, and a lot goes into negotiating those things. And once you get the terms hammered out, then you write it out and you go your separate ways, and you have this and they have that. It's called a coexistence agreement.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we were able to do under the great guidance of Lisa.shebar firm. We were able to coexist, own Got asset.
Yeah. And now both of you and the other party, are always kind of needing to watch your back for the Got Milk people.
There you go. There you go. And so that's one of the success stories. And then even with Easy Pay in Texas, even though my enterprise was incorporated in Illinois, there was a guy in Texas with your other partner at the time, was trying to prevent me from using Easy Pay in the state of Texas. After I was already established, already raised money, signed this multi-million-dollar contract, this little guy in the automobile industry said that, oh, you can't use Easy Pay 24 in the state of Texas. And then again, the bulldog and her firm went after these clowns and shut them down and showed them. I don't know what was the precedent, because I wasn't in the automobile industry and we were able to retain the Easy Pay 24 in the state of Texas. And the reason why that was important, Nick, is because my second biggest contract was with HEB. And that's the largest private grocer in the state of Texas. At the time was 1.2 billion. They're now about $3 billion company. And if I couldn't legally use Easy Pay 24, I couldn't put my kiosks in the 54 stores that I signed a 3-year contract with them, which another investor gave me $500,000. So Lisa, how did we make that happen and shut that guy down to prevent him from putting me out of business and losing that contract?
Well, whoever used the mark first has what's called seniority. You have the greater right, the greater claim. You can go after the junior, the second time user. However, there are more factors that go into it than just who used the mark first. Are the goods and services overlapping and similar enough? Remember that test, confusingly similar? It's a whole analysis. It's a whole algorithm that, again, there's no black and white test, but judges know it when they see it. And as a trademark lawyer, the longer I do this, the more gut feel I have when I look at whether the marks are alike, as well as the goods and services, the purchasing public, the distribution channels. Everything goes into that analysis to say, okay, you are too similar that it's confusingly similar. That's trademark infringement. In this guy's case, he thought that he hit a home run and, payday was going to come his way because you had the same mark as him.
Yeah, however, he was trying to blackmail me in essence, and he had a little itty bitty business. Yep. And he was trying to say, hey, pay us this. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We paid him $0.
Yep. And the only way he could have succeeded in that claim is either from a trademark infringement standpoint, if you were too similar to what he's doing with the mark, the goods, the services, the purchasing public, channels of distribution, et cetera, or if he's a famous mark and then you can't do anything with that mark. If he's Coca-Cola, it doesn't matter if you're doing Coca-Cola for orange juice. You can't do anything. He's not a famous mark, so therefore he had to show that you're confusingly similar. You're not confusingly similar when you're not in his industry. He's just a user of a similar mark, but similarity is not infringement. It's confusing similarity. And we made the arguments that you were not confusingly similar. He could have taken it to court, but he didn't, and he went away.
And you know what happened? That was actually, Nick, going to prevent me from opening up business accounts in the state of Texas. All my transactions I had to make through my machine. It would have shut all that down. But again, I had the legal mastermind behind me, and I invested, and it was well worth it. So with that said, Lisa, let's take a step back, and then we're going to talk about trademarks specifically, how they, give them a little taste of it. But remember, and it just dawned on me, the exact situation was 6 degrees of asset. You remember that? Now let me give you guys a lesson. This is a good story and a bad story for the simple fact that the people closest to you, you might have to watch them the most. I'm gonna say that again. The people closest to you, you might have to watch the most. I have a lot of great ideas in my head. And sometimes you don't have the pedigree or the experience to take it to the next level. And you need to partner up with people. So I partnered up with a person that got an MBA. I partnered up with a person that was a CPA. And money follows management teams. What do I mean by that? So I don't have to be the guy that has all the destination, but I can be the visionary. But the people who invest their money, they want to see who can run the company to get it across the finish line to get their money back. So I understood that. And since I didn't have an MBA and I have a CPA, I recruited 2 of the people that I knew the best. They were people supposed to take care of my family if something happened to them. And lo and behold, the business started taking off. People started buying our product in real estate. 6 degrees of assets. Basically, we created a real estate model that came out of my brain. And we started putting houses together and started financing them and putting people in them. And it started blowing up, and I needed people to market to the big companies to get more money. So I brought on 2 people that I trusted emphatically. And lo and behold, they tried to push me out my own company. Lisa, you want to talk to them a little bit about that situation and why this small entrepreneur that listening to this right now don't think it's wise to have an attorney, don't think it's wise to, not have them do an NDA for them. Don't think it's wise to have them file the trademark paperwork for them because they're looking at cost. And sometimes that cost may be as little as $600. Sometimes it might be $3,000. But if you're going to make any business that, I'm going to tell you, if it makes $5,000 a month, you're a fool if you don't get yourself a lisa.shebar. So Lisa, can you talk to that and how this occurred and how you were able, and here's the thing, guys. These people tried to use the insidious guys under religion to try to prevent me from suing. They use religion the wrong way, and instead of me suing them in a court of law, we took them to the book, but we used the law to hold them accountable. Lisa, so talk a little bit about that for us, please.
Boy, that's going back a long way now. I think that was
we don't have to name any names, but I'm sure you remember.
That was your very first trademark matter that I ever handled for you.
Yep.
Let me see if I remember this right and what the issue became. You were using the mark, you wanted to get it registered, but the question is, who is you?
Yep.
When you're doing a business venture together, there needs to be clear definition before the success happens. Before, when people can still talk rationally. Who is the owner? Are you going to create an LLC? Are you going to create a partnership? Is one person going to be a sole proprietor and the others are investors in the business? I think in your case, if I remember right, there wasn't that discussion. And you guys hit the ground running. You had your successes. Things were going swimmingly. filed the application, got the trademark registration, no problem, because, you just put in a corporate name. But then when it came time when people wanted to go in different directions with their business ideas and said, well, maybe we should wrap this up now. Yeah. There was this moment of, wait.
They started operating as 6 Degrees of Assets, doing other businesses under the umbrella of 6 Degrees of Assets. Like a music, like I'll tell you, like In Vogue. If people don't know what's going on with In Vogue right now, there's 2 legal In Vogue entities. And this 2 people decided they were going to take 6 Degrees of Assets and move down the block and do some big corporate commercial stuff with that umbrella because they thought they owned it and I was a nobody. So back to you, Lisa.
So I remember at some point you and I had the discussion of, well, wait a minute, who owns this mark if the company is going to divide up? This wasn't provided for anywhere in any documentation, which I should mention was created before I met you.
Yep, it was. That's correct. Yep.
So as I recall, there was just a falling out among friends, which was very sad because everyone was a good person, good heart, good people. And there was a business dispute because it was a valued asset. And had that discussion been had before that asset grew to the value that it was, it would have been an easier discussion. I think everyone would have been very rational. But once the success was there and it represented dollars, there just wasn't the calmer heads prevailing. And so there was the falling out, and as I recall, the registration ended up becoming owned by one person in particular who then ended up letting it lapse. So it was like the story of Solomon in the Bible, where the baby didn't get cut up in the Bible, fortunately, but in this case, the asset did get cut up and nobody ended up with it at the end of the day.
Yep, sure did. So long story short, when Lisa brought wisdom to the table, I said, since I know I created it, I know I own it, I said, hey, you can have it as part of the settlement, and here's what we're going to get in exchange. And I donated the proceeds in the settlement to the church. And lo and behold, since they didn't create it, like Lisa said, it basically went away. And the reason why I talk about that is because right now we have a lot of people on these mediums, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and they're jumping out here and they're creating businesses and they're talking about they're making all this money. And we'll even fast forward to today. We did a partnership agreement with a great organization on the East Coast, and they signed the NDA that Lisa provided me, and we start providing them services. And they start promoting an interview. And Nick can attest to this. They start promoting an interview, but then all of a sudden they felt that the guy didn't look like them, that it would not be beneficial for our community to have this person on their platform. And they just stopped the webinar, stopped promotion of it, and they were legally contracted with us. And Lisa, again, stepped in, and this is the one where I just said, you know what? These guys are young, they don't know no better, but typically in this world, we would have scorched the earth of them. But we didn't. And Lisa, why is that important that they broke a contract with us, that they didn't understand the legality of it, because they were getting what I would call corner shop legal advice. And they literally told them, oh, we don't have a contract with that third person, but they didn't realize that that third person came under the umbrella of 7 Spheres of Money, and that represented me. So what was that conversation like?
What do you mean?
Well, in terms of showing that person that they were wrong in their ways, when they circumvented and breached the contract with me, that they thought that there was no legal ramification. And since I chose not to put the hammer down on them, which we could have, but they didn't realize that they had violated and breached the contract. And you share with them. Again, right here in this document, look right here. Is this you? Yep, that's you. This is DJ the Money Coach in his company, and his company represents the 7 Spheres of Money, which he can bring experts on your platform because that's what the contract said. So since you thought that you were not going to allow this guy that didn't look like DJ come on the platform, you were still in violation of the contract.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because People don't realize the magnitude of how important legal help is.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
I created STEAM, STEAM. It's science, technology, engineering, access, and mentorship. And people might say, well, what happened to the math? Well, to me, it's self-explanatory. If you're going to be an engineer, you got to be good at math in some capacity. How does that translate when you go in these boardrooms with these Fortune 500 companies who just want to take money out of our community? How do you get them to, humanize our experiences and actually give us the value without us having to be validated through their lens? People don't understand when you start out in business, you got to pay your team first before you pay yourself. I'm gonna say it. You got to pay your team first before you pay yourself because you're invested in a system. I'm excited about meeting you guys because I think you're stumbling on something that's going to actually dissolve that system and actually make you as the #1 player in the industry. Can you talk to that a little bit?
You know what I can say? I can say that I have chills, right now at 4:19 Central Time, Thursday, March 4th, 2021 in Austin, Texas, hearing you say that. And I actually want to refer back to this clip whenever it is that we, do achieve some milestone like $100 million of gross written premium.
The DJTMC Financial Expert Series is the #1 show featuring the hottest business professionals, working professionals, and entrepreneurs, from the seasoned vets to the rising stars. Email Nick at djthemoneycoach.com if you have what it takes to stand among the greats. Now back to the program.
What's the most important thing about doing trademarks? What's the most important thing about having the non-compete? And what's most important about drawing up the contract the right way for anybody? And let's say somebody who's starting out and their business has zero revenue and maybe their resources are less than $10,000 a year. Why would it still be important for them to engage an attorney if they're thinking about even making $100,000?
Well, that's a big question. A lot of directions I could go with that. I guess the best advice I can give to any experienced entrepreneur or beginning entrepreneur is dot your I's and cross your T's from the beginning, because each misstep, like we were talking about the road that you're on, if you don't get the non-disclosure, non-compete agreement in place, if you start using a mark and didn't try to get it cleared to find out if you're infringing somebody, all those things will come back to roost and burn you so that you will end up potentially having to spend money to just get yourself back to ground zero. You are better off spending a little bit at the outset to do things the right way, and then maybe take it slow. Maybe you don't take that next step until you have the funds to do that. But at least you're not throwing good money after bad because you're going down the wrong rabbit hole. And you don't realize you're going down the wrong rabbit hole if you don't know the legal aspects. And people think, well, I'm a good business person. I've got friends who've done this. I talked to so-and-so. Just the law firms are full of clients with stories like that. So you're best off getting advice somewhere, somehow, not thinking you can do it yourself. I'll just share quickly with you a story of a client, wonderful woman. She's mostly a stay-at-home mom, has 2 little children, very young. I think her husband's the main breadwinner. She's recently become a client, and she's got a side business, a great idea, trying to capitalize on the legalization of marijuana countrywide. And she had filed some applications in the U.S. Trademark Office on her own because she couldn't afford to hire a lawyer.
Well, at least she thought she couldn't afford.
But her choices and steps, innocent heart, no bad intent, didn't mean to infringe, but just didn't know. She was infringing, and she was infringing somebody large. And that large party got a large lawyer who came after her with a large demand. So she had to wrap up her entire home-based business. And her applications in the trademark office are just going to go nowhere now. So she paid money for nothing. And they were kind enough to let her out without any kind of payment to them, which is extremely rare. But I think they were just thinking.
No punitive damages, nothing like that.
They never sued. They left it at a cease and desist letter. They shut her down. She had to give up her product and account for all her revenues. But they let her go with the understanding that she is done. So her applications will languish and go nowhere. And she's got to think every day about, man, I took what pennies I had and I put them into all of this, which now I have to start over.
Wow. So hypothetically, is it possible to say that she made at least $10,000, $20,000 before they shut her
down? Easily. And the legal fees with the firm that she came to me through, it wasn't a personal connection of mine. It was a client of a firm that gave me the work, and she's paying their hourly fees for me through that firm, and it's not cheap.
Wow. So what would have been ballpark her investment if she would have done it the right way, if she would have known that?
For a couple hours of legal fees, and if she wanted to then file maybe another $300, $250, $350 filing fee in the Patent and Trademark Office for one trademark application for one category of goods or services, would have gotten her started and gotten a foothold for her trademark rights that would have staked out that for up to the next 3.5 years before she had to even do anything with it, which is something I want to tell everybody about. Most people wouldn't know this unless they had experience with a trademark lawyer or filing in the trademark office. If you have an idea, there's a way you can protect it before you are ready to use it from a trademark standpoint. I'm not going to talk about copyrights, patents, trade dress, trade secrets, anything else, just trademarks right now. Let's say that you come up with a product name, ABC, but you don't have any money to make ABC yet. You can't hire anybody. You can't even talk to a lawyer yet. If you can at least get an application filed in the trademark office based on your intent to use trademark ABC, that application can be extended for up to 3 years. And that 3-year mark doesn't even begin for about another year from the time you file. So really it ends up being 4 years. Now, there's a little pitfall there because I'm not saying go out and do it on your own. You may have no choice and say, I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to file this thing on my own. Okay, maybe that's better than nothing. Because you can't be infringing somebody until you're actually using the mark. Merely filing an application is not infringing. You are at no risk of being sued, of being made to pay damages to anybody, if you merely file an application to reserve the mark. Once you start using the mark in business, in commerce, now you're talking about potentially infringing somebody if you didn't do it right. But if you just want to protect a mark that you have in mind, try to get a lawyer's help. But if you can't, you can reserve it in the trademark office so that when you do get the funding and you do get the idea put together, then you've got all this time that you've staked out your right and you're first in line for the next 4 years. So it's called an intent to use application in the U.S. Trademark Office. Yeah.
You've done that a couple of times.
Yep.
So Lisa, so
great tool.
Let's talk about that person who said, well, you know, I'm still going to do it myself. Let's talk about the expeditious way that you and your experience and expertise can speed up the process. Because I think that's where these do-it-yourselfers, even the ones that have the money, oh, I'm going to file and I'm going to get it done. And just like you, right before we got on this interview, I had a young lady who filed trademark a year ago. She ain't heard nothing back. And I know if she knew you, she would have been able to afford your services if she came through the 7 Spheres of Money program. And she's like, yeah, I'm still waiting. I said, you filed a year ago and you ain't heard nothing? I said, that's sometimes why you pay the person. Like, I'll give the analogy is that when people go to these theme parks and they get the quick pass, or whatever they call it. Enlighten them on that value of an attorney of your, cloth, why that's important.
Well, I guess from the number one priority standpoint, when you're going to use a trademark, the number one priority most people think is, I want to own it. No, the number one priority is you don't want to get sued and lose your shirt over it. You don't want to be infringing. That is actually the number one priority. Then protecting it is a very important priority as well, but I would put that just a hair below not infringing somebody, because infringing somebody is going to set you way back. So what I or any trademark lawyer who is worth their salt can do is, with their expertise, their ability to recognize quickly what will fly and what won't. I guess that's our intellectual capital that you're paying for when you hire a lawyer. They have the knowledge in that industry. They're not starting from scratch as you would be. So in my industry of trademark law, I can look at something, size it up immediately and say, let's do this, let's do that. Here's a better strategy. Don't do this. You're good to go. Don't worry about that. Whereas somebody who has no experience would look at it and go, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So even if you can figure out the mechanics of filing something in the trademark office on your own, you just don't know what you're looking at. You don't know how to make a judgment call. So there's a lot of judgment that goes into what you do in the trademark office, even if somebody says, here's a website that shows you the steps. Click here, click there, put your name in this blank, fill out this field, upload this specimen of use showing your mark and use on a good or service.
Oh my goodness.
Anybody can write a how-to manual, but there's no knowledge of what are you seeing? What are you doing? Where's the judgment here? Are you sure this is the right strategy call? So I think that's what I do bring to the table.
Oh no, that's what you bring to the table, because you do it for me all the time. Matter of fact, we're doing it as recent when you keep telling me about, Dale, I need example. I need this exact example, Dale. And I'm like, Lisa, I'm giving you my examples.
Because the missteps in the trademark office are going to get caught by the trademark examining attorney that's assigned to your application. And they will put you through hell. They are not there to be your friend. They are there to make sure that nothing becomes a registered trademark that can then be used as a weapon to stop other people, unless you really earn the right to do that. And if you don't know what you're doing going into that, it's difficult. It's like trying to climb a mountain without any mountaineering experience. You can go try, no one will stop you, but you might be falling off the cliff.
Lisa, with that said, I'm going to ask you to give us a little snapshot of the trademark. And I'm going to ask you if you will be kind enough to do a webinar for our entrepreneur wannabes, because I think they need to go down the rabbit hole and really get the crux of what you can provide for them, and they can square it up and they can invest their time and their effort to get with the right person. Or worst case scenario, just like we do in the 7 Spheres of Money, we teach them how to vet that professional. And I think that's the tremendous value in of itself, because you keep saying, I know. You're being very humble and modest to these people, because I'm going to tell you guys who's watching, I will put my attorney and my great friend against anybody out there, because she protects my back 24/7, 365. And even when I'm not even thinking about it, her passion, because her experience with her father makes her an advocate, that she's not doing it for the money. But if she wanted to do it for the money, you'd have to pay her a king's ransom. But by being associated with us, you don't have to do that. So would you be kind enough just to show them a quick snippet, because I know you got the slides, just show them a couple of slides, and we're going to do a webinar if you'd be willing to do it in a couple of weeks. And we're going to invite the people to come see everything, go down the rabbit hole, and then I'm going to actually show more behind the scenes and the stuff that you've been working with me with currently in the past 24 months, and how we navigate through that process with you giving me the playbook. And I just tell you, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. And when I come across these people who are not doing it right, just like you told me, people have trademarks that are not full trademarks. Remember you told me, because I always ask you, look up this person's trademark, because if they make me mad and I feel like I want to be not a nice guy, I'll go take their trademark. You know why? Because people do it all the day. And if you think you're going to hose me, I'm not bragging anything, but I just know how it works. A lot of people put these TMs beside and these R's, and it's not, and I'm talking about people on the internet that I've seen make 15, 20, 30, $40,000 a month, and they have a name. And I just go to the patent office and the trademark office, and I don't see a registry for them at all. And I know I could go in and buy and take their image, and I'll leave it with this. Ever heard of a little guy named Rick Ross? Rick Ross actually legally took Rick Ross, the actual drug dealer's legal name, who made billions of dollars back in the 80s. He took his name and gave him the platform to give him street cred to become Rick Ross the rapper. Facts. So with that said, Lisa, if you can give us a little snapshot into, you know, the bigger picture, we're going to wrap it up because I don't want to take any more of your time. We're going to provide a webinar for these guys with your blessing because people don't understand the magnitude. You're more important to me than my accountant. Real talk. And you're multifaceted because you have done the litigation part, you've done the operational part, and your specialty is trademark. So they're getting a person that's capable on all sides of the fence that you may not have that experience with somebody on the other side because everybody's not equally, you know, able to provide services. I always share people with this, and I'm long-winded, but I say all attorneys, all accountants are not equal. And I know because I'm a business person. And I know exactly what kind of attorney I need. I know exactly what kind of accountant I need. And I know exactly what kind of planner. But the average Joe who's doing ignorance on fire, they are clueless. But you provide it all because of your experience and your expertise and your passion. You have the trinity of business. With Jim Collins from Good to Great says, you have a passion, you have a niche that you are number one at, and your economic engine is that you actually provide people that really couldn't afford your services to access to you at a very feasible rate. And I love that. So with that said, if you just give us a snapshot, and then we're going to wrap up and get you back to your beautiful family.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
Everybody, this is going out to DJ, the Money Coach, 7 Spheres of Money team. My name is Willie Ray. I'm an over-the-road trucker. Been doing it for 2 years. I've been working with these brothers. Excellent. DJ, the Money Coach, has been helping me with my financial planning. Melvin Hobson has been helping me with family planning, learning how to structure generational wealth. And I've been working with James Lane on taxes and on how to structure my business. So I'm really excited. This is a group of people, man, I really believe that's going to be able to help the Black community. And they're all doing this while I'm actually working over the road. So if you get the opportunity, get down with DJ, the Money Coach, and change your life. Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Shebar is just going to give you a little 5-minute commercial spot of why you should come to the web.
Okay, so remember I said that most people think the most important priority is owning the trademark that they want to use. But I want people to take away from this today that you got to back up a step and make sure that you're not infringing anybody with the trademark that you're using. That has to remain the #1 priority. After that, then you think about building value. So that's why I want the theme here to be not just owning a mark, but first clearing it to make sure that you're not going to get yourself in trouble, that you're not going to lose the money that you've put into the startup of your business and your ideas and your relationships and your legal fees. All right. These are elementary things. I'll go through them pretty quickly, but what is a trademark? I don't want to assume that everybody knows what a trademark is because people are like, well, what's the difference between a patent, copyright? A trademark is what it says right here. It could be packaging. Coca-Cola's bottle is an example of that. Believe it or not, the smell of Play-Doh is a registered trademark.
What?
Yep. Harley Davidson's putt, putt, putt. Can you picture that, or if not picture, can you imagine the putt, putt, putt?
The sound that the Harley Davidson make is trademark?
Yep, that is a registered trademark.
Wow. Holy smoke.
I'm sure the Nike swoosh will not surprise anybody. And of course, the one at the top, McDonald's, I had to pick them as a client, you know, had to put them up there as an example. So it's basically anything that is depicted through a smell, a sound, a look that indicates the source of the goods or services. So, all right, here we go. This is what I just said. What is a trademark? It identifies the source of your goods and services, and it distinguishes them from the goods and services of another party. So now that we got that squared away, put on your seatbelt. Here we go. We'll skip over international right now, except for just the minor point that if you are using marks in one country, that does not extend your marks to another country. Don't think that because somebody has a trademark in I don't know, Czechoslovakia, that gives them rights here. And so you can't do it because you know that they own the mark there. No, no. Trademark rights do not go beyond country borders.
Wow.
And don't fall into sense of security either, that because you've got the mark here, that therefore somebody in China can't do it. Because again, trademark rights do not extend beyond country borders. Why clear a trademark? Well, we've talked about this. These are just common sense things. If you don't clear your mark to make sure you're not infringing somebody, I guess you can just cross out all these specifics and say you're going to get hosed. Something bad is going to happen to you. And if it doesn't, you got lucky, but that's not a way to do business. All right, this is what I really want to get to. And maybe we'll just show this part and wrap it up.
Shut it down from here.
Yeah.
Already.
When you pick a mark, people often think, well, I want to pick a mark that everyone will understand what it is. If I'm going to have a restaurant, I want to call it Susie's Diner. That way, everybody understands that if they see a coupon for Susie's Diner, it's for my restaurant. Okay, that's fine, but you won't be able to stop many other people from using Susie's Diner. And the reason is because of these pictorial diagrams down here. A weak mark is something that's not very protectable, but it immediately lets you know what it is. A strong mark is something where you hear it or you see it and you have no idea what that is. But I can promise you, no one's going to be able to use that mark on anything similar. An example, a weak mark, Susie's Diner. A strong mark, Kodak. When Kodak first came out, who would have known what that was? Is it a bear? Is it an Eskimo? I mean, what is it? It's camera. Polaroid is a competitor of theirs. There's another example. What's a Polaroid? So you can think of many marks like this. That the stronger the mark you pick, the easier it will be to protect, the more easily it will be able to register in the US Trademark Office. But you do have to market it more heavily, and that's where the trade-off comes in. If you don't have any marketing dollars, maybe you want to pick something that's more on the descriptive side, on the weaker side, so that people immediately know what it is that you're offering. Here's another way to represent the same thing. Down at the bottom, generic marks, you know, water for a bottle of water, a pen for a pen. It's the dictionary term. You can't protect those. Anyone can use them. You can't stop anyone else. As you move up that scale, your mark becomes more and more protectable, more easy to register. Here are examples of what happens if you don't protect your mark. These people all had great marks. What happened to them? They didn't protect them. They didn't take the steps, that's for another webinar, of how do you make sure that your mark doesn't fall into the public domain and you lose all your rights. Look at these terms. They used to be owned and registered to some trademark owner in the trademark office. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah. You know what, Lisa? We said enough. Because you know how some people they you got them do-it-yourselfers out there. So we're cutting it right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
And because Lisa will turn around and give you all the goods for free. So free is not the business we're in. We're in adding value, but we're not in the free business. So, and there's the buzzer on the time. So here's what we're gonna do. So here's how we always end the show, Lisa, is that we allow my business manager, Nick Westbrooks, my mentee, to give us a summarization of what he gleaned out of this amazing financial expert interview with DJ the Money Coach and you, Lisa, as the preeminent trademark litigation attorney. So Nick, chime in, man, for about 120 seconds. What did you get out of this that's a value that we all should have.
Okay, well, the first thing I noticed is that Lisa isn't as scary as she sounds, unless you're on the wrong side of her litigation. Then you know, then you need to be scared. But that's the first thing. I mean, but going off of that, you know, the thing that really stood out to me from your backstory, you know, when you got started, and even how you started working with DJ here, is how much you care about people and your clients. You know, it's not all about money for you. And in reality, you can't really help the people unless you really care about the people. So that's a very important piece that you touched on early on in this interview, and that's something that I want to emphasize to our audience. And then, you know, just for the rest of the conversation, you and DJ discussed numerous examples of, you know, trademark litigation and, you know, real life examples to show the people how important it is to invest your money into, you know, getting trademark and going through a trademark lawyer. So not only getting trademark, but having someone do it for you to fast track the process and take a lot of the stress, you know, off of you. So yeah, those are the main 2 points that, you know, I took away, and that I personally want to leave the audience off with. You know, the importance of caring, you know, for your client in order to help them. You know, that's something that applies no matter what field or industry you're working in. And, you know, just the importance of investing in this, you know, because it'll save you a lot of stress and a lot of money later on down the line.
Oh man, it couldn't be better said. So
yeah, thank you, Nick.
With that said, Lisa, what we want to do is have you tell us what you're excited about. Give us your contact information, because we should have given that a long time ago. So give us your contact information slowly so Nick can put it across the screen, put it in the description box, and then we're going to put a webinar together with your schedule in the next 2 to 3 weeks so we can get people to actually get the real meats and potatoes and be able to utilize your skill set to their benefit and get the real attorney who has been my, you know, protector for the last 16 years that I never have to worry about, and I sleep well because of you. So what's your contact information, Lisa, and how they can get in touch with you first and foremost?
Sure. Thank you, Dale. Phone or email. My cell phone is 630-877-6829. And then my email address is my first name dot last name at Gmail. So it's Lisa, Lisa, dot Shebar, SHEB as in boy, AR, at gmail.com.
So if you can put that up on the screen too, Nick, that will be awesome. And so Lisa, what are you excited about 2021? And what would be just, you know, 2 tips you would leave with people if they decide anyway, I'm gonna go out and do it myself anyway, so they don't become a cautionary tale?
I'm excited about continuing to see where your business ventures take you. I can't keep up with you. I always wait for that email or call saying, need you now. And I hope that I'm available, because when you need me now, you need me now.
I don't learn my lesson, Nick.
But you don't get yourself in trouble anymore. So you have definitely, you've come a long way. I mean, all joking aside, you take all the right steps and you know when to ask for help, but you've always got something that needs to be done right now. And I'm excited about maybe meeting some of the people that watch this webinar and being able to help them and having them say, you know what, something that you said really struck a chord with me. Because as I say these things, I hope they don't sound like a know-it-all or haughty or arrogant. I just feel like, I don't know if I'm really able to help anybody until I can dig into their individual case. I just feel like these things go into the air and don't really take root with people. So I'd be really happy to learn that somebody was able to take something away from this just from hearing me go on and on.
So you know what? I had a novel idea just popped in my head. Would you be willing, with our Family Finance 101 course that a lot of people always invest. Would you be willing to give those people a 15, 20-minute complimentary consultation if they got our course?
Sure. Yep.
So Nick, put that down there. So here's the gift from me, from Lisa, to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, is that you invest in the 7 Spheres of Money Family Finance 101 digital course, which is 3 hours, 18 modules that actually is broken down from every industry up to legal. And you'll get the course, you get the book, you get a complimentary consultation with me as well. And you'll also get a complimentary consultation with my one and only attorney. I don't have but one attorney. Lisa does everything for me. My litigation, contracts, my NDAs, and yet alone, my most important stuff, my intellectual property and my trademarks. Most people need to have 2 or 3. And at the level I'm at now, which is nothing special, you generally will have 2 or 3. But Lisa knows my business and she covers all of those that I don't need to go outside of her scope. That's facts. And we want to leave that with you guys. So we end our shows the same way all the time. On behalf of my moderator and my business manager, Nick Westbrooks, I want to thank him for coming on the show. And on behalf of the amazing Lisa.shebar, Esquire Extraordinaire, actually 17 years we've been working together and knowing each other. And I've been blessed every step of the way, and you covered my back. So I want to thank you for investing this hour and 20 minutes with us, which is the longest interview we've done, because you are such an encyclopedia of experience and expertise. People need to get it, and we ain't even got enough yet. So I want to thank you for donning your time away from your busy schedule and your family. And I want to leave with you, guys and gals who are still listening and watching the replay. I want you to make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we leave it the same way we do all the time. We wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the beaches of the world. I'm DJ the Money Coach. You've been watching the Financial Expert Series with DJ the Money Coach. And we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm DJ the Money Coach. Don't touch that dial. You want to become financially independent? You want to have consumer debt freedom? You want to have passive income, learn how to build a business, acquire real estate, and achieve the lifestyle you deserve in 2021? Well, hit that link below right now. We've worked with over 20,000 people in the past 2 decades, helping them become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 30 to 60 points in 30 days or less, and help them acquire businesses through real estate, taxes, and a network of experts just like me. So you'll get a complete 3-hour, 18-module course called Family Finance 101 that'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and it put you in position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below, get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us.